Talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
The bounce is back.
Monday, you are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. I hope you had an amazing weekend and you are comfortable and ready to kick your Monday night off, or wind it down perhaps, with me here on the show that gets into all the trending topics and headlines across entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture. As I said, I'm your host, Jill Munroe, and we have so very much to get into. I don't know, it wasn't a holiday weekend, but of all the things that were going on, it certainly feels like it was longer than usual. So I hope you enjoyed it. As always, we have a bunch of topics to get into for the evening, but before we do that, you know, if at any point you want to join the conversation, you have some commentary to add, you can hit us up, 800-920-1580. Of course, I know that you're following us on our socials, but just in case, you know, maybe you got a new phone, you lax, KBLA 1580. I am, of course, at Stiletto Jill. Hit us up, follow us everywhere. Download the KBLA app because there's so much good stuff on there. So you want to make sure that you can tap in multiple ways because I know you want to. I do. And shout out to any of the new viewers or listeners. We had a big show the other night. Apparently, you guys had a lot of comments for me, so we're going to get into that. Speaking of, let's talk about what we're going to get into on tonight's show. Of course, it was a huge sports weekend. We're going to talk Coco Gauff and Deion Sanders lighting it up for weekend 2 of college football, you know, their first home game at Colorado. So we're going to see what was what with that. There's a lot to talk about with that. Of course, we're going to talk about Lionel Richie. He says that there is a particular star that has refused to perform with him for over 36 years. We're going to get into that. Also, this weekend, an NBA star, a celebrity's kid, and a Marvel star all got married. So the nuptials were popping off this weekend. We're going to talk about that. We're going to get into this Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis story. Basically, if you haven't heard, they wrote character letters to the court in defense of their former co-star and friend, Danny Matheson of that 70s show. He was convicted of rape and was given 30 years. So we're going to get into that. There's some backstory to that, some conversation around that. Also, I'm not sure if you know who Reagan Gomez Preston is. She played Zaria on The Cosby Show. We're going to talk a little bit about a story that she shared a few years ago that relates to that 70s show and what's going on. We're also going to talk about Tyrese and him reacting to his Breakfast Club appearance. More tears. We're going to get into that. And of course, we're going to talk about the reaction of Steve Harvey and Shirley Strawberry to those phone calls that were released and what Steve had to say about the whole situation and Shirley's involvement. And of course, like I said, get into your comments because you guys had a lot. You had a lot to say about this. We're going to talk about Kendrick Lamar. There was a leak of a song that he was supposed to release a few years back, Elements, and the actual version, he's naming names and taking shots. So we're going to get into that and a little bit about Google and a spreadsheet that was discovered that reveals how much black employees earn, well, how much less black employees earn than their white colleagues. So all of that and more is coming up. But right now, of course, we got to have a couple of conversation starters. So it's Monday. the first official week of the NFL season, and people were looking forward to Aaron Rodgers and his move to the New York Jets. Tonight on Monday Night Football, it was Jets versus Bills. Aaron Rodgers making his debut, and yeah, it looks like Aaron may have broken his ankle early in the first couple of plays. I mean, good luck, Jets fans. I don't know if you guys can ever catch a break. It seems that, something always gets you guys here. I really feel sorry for you. It looked like a new era, or at least some excitement in the NFL. The Jets had a lot of primetime games on the season. So, yeah, ouch, Andy.
Well, they won in overtime, so.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Messed up my whole pick'ems. I'm sorry.
I mean, I imagine a lot of people probably. So we hope that whatever the injury it is, it's not too bad. We know that Aaron is probably in the twilight of his career. So we hope it's not something that doesn't allow him to go out, with a farewell tour, a proper tour. Because, I mean, if we're being honest, Aaron's a little kooky. And he has some ways, but, he has family drama and some other things that add to the storyline to make it exciting. So there's that. All right. Now, we know we are still in a Beyonce hangover from last week, from her birthday celebration and, of course, the Renaissance tour in LA. We heard all about it on this show last week. And, of course, we saw all over social media some of her activities. Well, Beyonce's back on stage tonight. However, her astute fans, they peeped out something that has people wondering, could we be getting ready for a new Destiny's Child single, album, performance, something? The reason why this is coming up is because someone checked Destiny's Child's website, and they have a coming soon banner there, and it mentions 25 years of Destiny's Child, that they'll be celebrating that anniversary this year coming up. So maybe they have something secret planned for the fans. I know that fans have been waiting to see the three of them back together, or maybe they have something planned with all five. Beyonce did shout them out last week at the concert. We know that the relationships have healed. Time heals a lot of things. So, we'll have to keep out on the look. We'll keep on the lookout for that. And, of course, I'll keep you updated on all of that. When we come forward, we will get into all of the wedding activities that went down this weekend. We're going to talk about Lionel Richie and who he has beef with, and our vice president's 50th hip-hop celebration at her home. All that and more. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
You're listening to K-Drip, where we play all the best classic water-wasting hits like Sprinklers in the Rain and Leaky Faucets. They're tunes from another time, because now that we face a hotter, drier future, every drop counts. Despite an extremely wet winter, keep using less water, fixing leaks, and reusing indoor water for your garden. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more ways to conserve. Up next, brushing your teeth with the water on.
K-Drip.
If you're a veteran with a service-connected disability that is directly impacting your ability to work, resources are available to help you find employment. VA's Veteran Readiness and Employment, or VR&E, can assist you with finding a job that uses your existing skills. Or, if you're interested in exploring a new field, a VR&E counselor can help you determine the right education or training options for a new career. Find out if VR&E is right for you by visiting va.gov/VRE today.
When my family does Walt Disney World Resort, we do it big.
Bippity boppity big, like Cinderella Castle.
Big, like those juicy turkey legs from Gaston's Tavern.
It doesn't get any bigger than the Tam Tam Drummers. Get it, Grandma?
Yeah, and big like Goofy's kicks. Yup.
It's your world, so do it big at Walt Disney World Resort.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SCES scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. And as I said, so much took place over the weekend, like ridiculous actually, how many stories that we have to get into. But I mentioned that it was big wedding vibes this weekend. Almost felt like June, there were so many weddings. So I mentioned that a NBA star got married, a celebrity offspring was married, and a Marvel star. But I forgot one more. Also, a journalist host. So I'm going to break these down one by one, give you a little bit of details. So Derrick Rose, he signed this offseason with the Memphis Grizzlies. He got married to his longtime girlfriend, Elania Anderson. They have 2 children, Layla, who is 5, and a son, Landon, who's 4. Derrick has an older son, PJ, from a previous relationship with his ex-girlfriend Mika. They all co-parent beautifully. They vacation together. They're very close. So we love to see that. So Derrick got married to Elena in Beverly Hills. It was a small, intimate ceremony. But what I want you to get into is that Derrick Rose walked down the aisle in his tux shirtless. Like, I've never seen that before at your wedding. And her dress was beautiful. It was like a beautiful wedding, flowers, formal. But D Rose, he was shirtless in that piece. So if you have social media, go check out the photos. Let me know what you think. I mean, it was certainly a fashion look. It was a choice. I just don't know how I would feel about my wedding photos. And by the way, their photos look absolutely amazing. But dude is shirtless while she is in her beautiful flowing white wedding gown. It looks a little nuts. But I'm not too mad at it. But I am curious as to what the thoughts are about that. Andy?
So he was dressed like that for the actual, like,
for the wedding, walking
wedding
down
ceremony.
the aisle. Yes. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Joakim Noah, his former teammate when they were on the Bulls, married them. He officiated the wedding. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So he didn't even have on like a blazer and it was
He
shirtless?
no, he had on a blazer.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it was shirtless. It was like, sometimes it was open and you could just see chest out. Other times it was conservatively 2 buttons hit right there, and that's how he moved through his wedding party.
I'm not gonna go ahead and call this a trend, but I have been seeing that lately.
For weddings?
Absolutely.
Okay.
To my surprise, at first it was, the tennis shoes with
Right.
the tux, and now I've been seeing gentlemen, with the blazer with their shirt off. I guess they want to show off their tattoos, or they trying
They
to show off their
tats, they're trying to show that gym work out something. Listen, more power to them. Congratulations to them. They have, I think when he was with the Bulls, he proposed to her on at Madison Square Garden on the center court. So, dream scenarios, doing it really big. We'll see what happens. If you remember, D Rose was the youngest, most valuable player in NBA history. It was the 2010-2011 season when he was with the Bulls. So, a myriad of knee issues kind of took him out of the game, but we always root for D Rose. because he had talent and it felt like, the injuries just got him. So, also on the wedding agenda for the weekend, Eddie Murphy, well, Eddie and Nicole Murphy, separated, not together. Their son Miles married his fiancee Carly Fink on Saturday, September 9th. Another private wedding, another wedding in Beverly Hills, because naturally, where else would you have it? It featured attendees. So this is the good thing. Another very nice co-parent situation. All sides of the family were there together. We saw some beautiful photos of Eddie, Miles, Carly, and Nicole. Nicole also brought her new boo to the wedding. We know Eddie is engaged or long-term dating and has children with Paige. I believe Paige's last name is Buckner. Don't quote me on that. I know the first name is Paige. But so it was a nice family affair. And, they have a 4-year-old daughter, Evie. So, again, congratulations to the happy couple. We wish you happiness and longevity. So, the next wedding actually was kind of trending over the weekend because I guess, Chris Evans, that's Captain America from the Avengers and all of that. He got married this weekend in Boston, right? It was an intimate at-home wedding, and he married an actress, Alba Baptista. But the thing that kind of had some fans head spinning is that there is a slight age difference. Chris is 42, Alba is 26. So, fans were debating on if that's okay, if it's right, whatever. We're not going to get into that. We're just going to say congratulations to the happy couple. The guest list did include some of his Marvel co-stars, including Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson, Jeremy Renner, Emily Blunt, Jamie Chung, and some others. So, again, congrats to the happy couple. And we have one more wedding announcement. Like, really, it's a lot of weddings, right? For September. I don't know. I didn't know September was a big wedding month, but here we are. So, Robin Roberts, Robin is a longtime broadcast journalist. We've seen Robin battle through cancer. We've seen her on ESPN, Good Morning America. Well, she had an intimate backyard ceremony with a reception with her bride. So congratulations to Robin and her bride because they got married on the 10th as well. It's a lot of wedding news, I know, but shout out to love. I love love. And of course, we appreciate that. So we mentioned that Kamala Harris celebrated the 50th anniversary of hip hop over the weekend. And she had the celebration at her residence in D.C., not literally at her house, but you know what I mean, right? So, of course, it was filled with top of the line performers from hip hop, right? There was approximately 400 artists, executives, politicians, journalists, other tastemakers, and who's who. And in her opening remarks, she shared how hip-hop now shapes nearly every aspect of American pop culture, and it reflects the incredible diversity and ingenuity of the American people. She also said she truly believes hip-hop is one of America's greatest exports. So performing were artists like Wayne, performing and attending. Lil Wayne, Common, Jeezy, Fat Joe, Remy Ma, Dougie Fresh, Slick Rick, MC Lyte, Wale, and of course her fellow Oakland native, Too Short, was giving it up, performing on the front line. So did you ever think that you would see Too Short, Lil Wayne, Fat Joe, and the like being honored by the White House for hip hop and actually performing as well?
I just want to know if Too Short censored himself.
He had to have. There's no question. I think there were children there, right? I don't think he could have given you the beep 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 version. I know one thing though. I saw somebody say that they thought it was hilarious that Lil Wayne was there performing Mrs. Officer in front of Kamala. They were like, the jokes write themselves. So I thought that was a little funny ditty. Not that we take that seriously, but it was just a little nice, not nice, but a little quick joke. what I do think was really cute, if you've seen it, it's floating around. Kamala was getting her life dancing to Q-Tip's Vibrant thing. Now, I do want to tell you that it was her conservative, I'm the vice president of the United States, Madam President bop, but the bop was there. And you can tell that the bop can come out at any given moment when appropriate. So she did give you the nice VP bop, but, Kamala probably get it in when it's, late at night or something and the doors are all closed.
What was the reason behind having this celebration? Didn't the White House have a hip hop celebration to a degree, or
did they? I'm not sure. I thought that this was their celebration of hip hop. Maybe she just wanted to do outreach, or maybe she was like, nah, whatever y'all got, I got more, right? I got more.
I'll leave my comments to myself.
You not feeling that?
I don't know. I just feel like, I know there's an election coming up, and I just feel like this is her way of, trying to, bring the culture in more to her side.
So you think she's trying to Bill Clinton it like Arsenio Hall shows? Is that what we're feeling? A little bit of that?
To a degree, because I know the criticism, prior to her, even running, and then, when she actually became VP, just, there's a lot of criticism that I know that she has. And I don't know if this is kind of like maybe like a PR stunt to a degree.
I mean, I think that everything, if it's an appearance of the president or the vice president, to a degree, has an element of that.
True that.
So I agree with you on that. But I also probably think that she probably does have a love of hip hop that she probably can't express, and that she went to Howard. How old is Kamala? 55. I'm not certain, but she was around during hip hop's heyday and was a young woman, so Also, I should say that the event was staged in collaboration with the Recording Academy's Black Music Collective and Live Nation Urban. So it was hot. It started raining at the end, but they got all the performances in, and we'll see. Listen, I appreciate Kamala, and to Andy's point, we are heading towards an election cycle, so just be cautious, just pay attention, know what you're getting into, but that's a conversation for another day. Now, let's talk about Diddy, speaking of maybe making campaign moves and promises and shaking and moving. So here's the thing. We know that Diddy is Diddy, right? But looks like in his fight against the parent company, the former parent company, I should say, of his alcohol brands Ciroc and De Leon, he received a small victory on September 7th. Basically, the judge denied the motion of Diego's, that's the parent company's name, motion to both dismiss the lawsuit and force the case into arbitration. So with that, right, that means that it's going to go to trial. That's a good look for Diddy. So previously, he made the argument that the liquor company neglected both of the alcohol brands, that they failed to invest in diversity, that they did not allocate funds for his brands in the same way that they did some of the others. There were accusations of them not reserving enough agave plant to harvest for the tequila, things of that nature. So after they filed the motion to dismiss the case, Diddy also said that they were retaliating against him for speaking out about their alleged racial discrimination. So he says that, quote, "The message is clear. If you dare to shed light on Diego's conduct, you will be punished. These brazen acts of retaliation serve as a testament to the power dynamics at play within the industry and the underlying and urgent need for justice and accountability." So we'll see what happens with the rest of this case. It's just step one in the process. But because of this ruling, it means that Diddy will be Diddy will be able to engage in what's known as broad discovery, meaning he gets to get all in their books, gets to get in all the financials and see what's going on and see if there really is a paper trail that matches up with what he says was happening as far as allocation of funds and marketing dollars and so forth. So again, we'll have to see. It's an interesting case. We're going to keep a close eye on it. Obviously, Diddy's attorneys are like, this case has always been about getting fair and equal treatment, and that they believe the decision is a step in the right direction, right? Diego, on the other side, said that they're disappointed with the procedural decision. So you see how they're getting out in front of that, trying to use language to diminish what it means. And true, it is a procedural decision, but it still advances the case, and it still rules that the case can stand and has some valid measure that they at least need to investigate. So they want to make sure that everyone understands that, they still believe the claims are false and baseless, and that this is just a procedural ruling. They're considering all their legal options. So seems like we're lining up for things to be quite interesting as far as that goes, right? Diddy also attended the actual case. He was in court. And again, it was a small hearing in theory, but one that he felt was important enough that he should be in the building for. So he says that the case is bigger than just him. He is fighting for fair and equal treatment for everyone. And that, this isn't just about me. I look forward to continuing this fight in court. We all deserve the same 24 hours. So, it's interesting that, again, this is all coming up as Diddy has returned the masters back to the bad boy artists. We know Mark Curry was like, give me the money. These aren't worth much. Speak for yourself, Mark. Some of those others might be worth a little bit of money. But it does beg the question, like we mentioned before with Kamala and Biden, was it a PR move because he knows that he is in position with this case? When we come forward, we're going to get into what Diddy commented about as far as black media companies, and the scrutiny that they're put under, and the way that companies, ad agencies, etc., sort of push them down in the mix. So Diddy is doing a lot of I stand for the people right now. The question is, do the people believe that Diddy is standing with them and that all of it is for the greater good? And oh, by the way, Love Off the Grid album coming soon. So Diddy got a lot to promote right now. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, news and sports.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Esther Dillard, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Sounds of bells tolling in New York as the nation marks the 22nd anniversary of the 9/11 terror attacks. Solemn tributes were held in New York, at the Pentagon, and in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, to honor the nearly 3,000 Americans killed in the attacks. Nearly 2,700 people are dead after a powerful earthquake caused widespread destruction in Morocco. Thousands were injured in Friday's quake, which was the strongest to hit the nation in more than a century. And the clock is winding down toward a possible strike against America's top automakers. The United Auto Workers Union is readying to go on strike on Friday if GM, Ford, and Stellantis don't meet demands on pay raises, pensions, and job protections. And that's the latest. I'm Esther Dillard from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Need an accident attorney by your side? All you got to do is call the Accident Guys.
Injured in a car accident or at work? The Accident Guys can come to you almost anywhere, so you don't have to come to us. Se habla español.
Gotta stay fresh, ma.
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
When you're young, life is full of choices. Don't let opioids like highly addictive and deadly fentanyl take away your life with just one wrong pill. Addiction is a disease that can affect anyone at any age. But there is a choice to get help for this disease. Find medically proven treatment options, including virtual, at choosemat.org.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
Turning my pain into purpose is pretty much what I have done to start this foundation.
In August 2020, after the death of George Floyd, Bridget Floyd and other family members established the George Floyd Memorial Foundation in support of the Black community.
It's going to take more than just us as a foundation. It's going to take the community, the world, to make a change.
Fight for racial justice for the Black community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
1 in 4 Americans today are living with a disability. I'm one of them. People with disabilities are extremely talented, resilient problem solvers that have so much to offer. And we've got a trusted ally on our side, an organization we can rely on, Easter Seals. Easter Seals is leading the way to full equity, inclusion, and access to healthcare, employment, and education for people with disabilities, families, and communities. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours.
Learn more and get involved at easterseals.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for education as a right, not a privilege. Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science is a private, non-profit, community-founded, student-centered university committed to cultivating diverse health profession leaders who are dedicated to social justice and health equity for underserved populations. CDU does this through outstanding education, clinical service, and community engagement. Recently, Charles Drew University made history by opening only the 5th medical school at an historically Black university. Congratulations, South LA, and congratulations to the Dean of the medical school, Dr. Deborah Protho-Stith. CDU is now training doctors and providing $90 million in annual economic benefit to Watts and surrounding neighborhoods. To apply for medical school, get more information, or sign your child up for the Junior Doctors Saturday School program, visit cdrewu.edu. That's cdrewu.edu. At KBLA, we are dedicated to equity in education and ending healthcare apartheid, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Lionel was telling y'all to raise the roof back in 86. You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. I mean, you know the open is so long on that song. I really wanted to let it go until the chorus. Fiesta forever.
Come on and sing along. We're going to party. Caramo, fiesta forever. Come on and sing along.
Here it comes.
All night long.
All night. Okay. All right, give me that 80s feel real quick. I love that video. Isn't that the video? No. Is that the video where you had people dancing on the ceiling? Okay. And it had the people in the street, and it had Turbo, whose name is Boogaloo Shrimp. Well, that was his, breaking name in the video and all of that. Yeah, that was a good time. Shout out to Lionel Richie. We will get into why Andy played Lionel in just a bit. But before that, we were talking about Diddy before on the other side. So now that we're here, in addition to the information about the lawsuit and broad discovery that has come up, Diddy also recently made comments about black media. And, he's been on this sort of mission about not wanting black media, black people to accept crumbs, not to be given the best of the best, not to be valued in the way that we contribute, right? That's what he's saying. So we're going to listen to what he had to say, his comments about black media and what he's experiencing. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about exploring the fact that all of these things are happening. And granted, everybody has a change of heart. And I, for one, have talked about this. I am kind of not absolving Puffy, because he was Puff when he did that stuff, completely of some of the business moves and situations that he made with his artists. But I am recognizing that there are some things and some situations as far as the talent that were very much standard operating procedure for the music industry. And I find it hard pressed almost that they necessarily would have gotten a better deal elsewhere or even gotten the push or the understanding. It's a complicated situation. It's a mixed bag. We also have to think that Puffy was learning how to be an executive as he goes. It sounds like I'm making up a bunch of excuses for Puff, and I'm really not. But I think context is important, and I think that we, leave out a lot of context when we discuss some of these stories. So I think that it adds to everything so that we get a fuller picture of what was happening. At any rate, let's check out Diddy's comments.
They are buying black media to market to y'all, but they're not buying it from the actual black media platforms or companies. If we don't have the resources, then we don't have the ability to compete. The money that you make, you put into your programming, you invest in your talent, you invest in your marketing. So it's like a struggle for black media companies, but it's an unnecessary struggle because we have the power to do anything we want to do. We run the world, we run the culture, but we have to understand how it works. If they're only giving us 1% and there's $100. What you gonna do with $1? And everybody else got $50, $40, and you only have $1. And so that's putting it in layman's terms. But it's such an importance to have black media, to have that representation. And so the fight continues. A lot of the stuff they said from George Floyd and trying to keep everything calm, they haven't done those things.
So he makes some very valid points, but also, as Andy was pointing out while the clip was playing, who's they? I mean, it's always a nebulous they. It is whoever the buyers are, whoever the advertisers. If you ask DJ Khaled, they could be anybody. They don't want you to win. There's so many theys that could really be talked about as far as this stuff goes. It's not that Diddy isn't raising a valid point, but I have a question for you. What's Revolt's programming? Do you know? Are you interested in it? Do you think that it speaks to you as we know initially they wanted to reinvent kind of, or maybe not reinvent, but do a fresh take on what MTV and BET was back in the day? I think that that didn't work out so well because, we have videos on demand now, so I don't know if the excitement is still there for premieres and previews. But I'm not really sure. We know the Breakfast Club was there for a very long time. It's now at BET. We know that they have Drink Champs going on there. They have Assets Over Liability. So I can't say that they don't have programming that would apply, but there's a disconnect somewhere. And what I will say is that when I worked at BET, we would often talk about ratings and things like that. And the assumption was, or the way that it was framed at times, was that advertisers felt that black consumers are going to watch TV. They're going to, there's certain things that they're kind of going to do. And so they don't necessarily, at least at this time, feel as though they have to pay premium for their spots, even if we're talking about top shows and so forth. Andy? Deep sigh.
I really don't even know where to start. I think your first question was, do people even check in with Revolt like that? Was that the first question?
I think so. I had a list.
So I know for me, I did try to check into Revolt at one point. And the reason was because I felt like Revolt, at least what was being presented, or at least, promoted about Revolt, it kind of was like that replacement for BET. And to a degree, it was. I think the issue at the same time was that if you didn't have cable, you didn't have access to Revolt. If if you didn't have access to your cable guide, you probably wouldn't even have known what channel it was on.
That is fact.
So, but the times where I did tap in, a lot of it was because of the Breakfast Club. You had to be up early in the morning to catch it live. And they did have music videos on there that I rocked with. It just didn't have the same impact like a BET, and I don't know if it's because maybe I'm older consuming the product as opposed to being younger or whatnot. But I just think their reach. I think if somehow Revolt collaborated with BET, then it'd probably be a different story. But Revolt by itself, I love what they doing. They got some interesting programming. It's not just music. They do, like you said, they had Assets Alive. They have a lot of educational programming on that platform. But I just think if you don't have cable, you don't have access to it. And if you're not tapped into your whole cable guide, it'll be difficult to even find out what channel it's on.
Very true. And also consider, as we're watching these cable wars and things like that. I know that there was a period of time, sort of the same fight that Byron Allen was having, as far as where, like you mentioned, in the cable structure, the channels are listed, people knowing they're there, what tier the availability is with. So, it's an interesting predicament to be in. We will see. Obviously, Revolt isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Tony Yayo mentioned that this is also Roland Martin's battle. He mentions advertisers a bunch in social media rants. I mean, a lot of people do, because advertising dollars are what makes media companies flow. It's the exchange. They're not just giving you this product for free, even though we do pay for cable. But even what we pay for cable, in theory, doesn't cover the carriage fees and all of that happens with the programmers. So, I mean, nothing is free. We get social media for free, but we give up all our data. So, you got to tread lightly and just kind of think about that stuff when you are being very selective. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be selective, but there are reasons sometimes when people are like, click on an ad or, watch a little bit through, because all of that stuff makes a difference. And it makes a difference in the budgets that minority owned entities sometimes get, makes a difference in sometimes the reach. Seems like we spread, but it's not always the stuff that, most people would necessarily want to. That's a conversation for another day. When we come forward, we will get into what is going on with Lionel Richie, all night long and all of that. He has somebody that said, hey, I'm not showing up for you ever, bruh. We're going to get into that and see what is going on with that. And of course, we have more trending topics and headlines. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, I'm Kate Levy. When I was just 10 years old, I lost my father, Joe, in the 9/11 attacks at the World Trade Center. He was a lieutenant in the New York City Fire Department. For 9/11 this year, now a National Day of Service, I'll be doing what my dad loved to do, helping others in need. Please join me by doing your own good deed that day. Visit 911day.org to learn more.
The Chase Ink Business Premier Card is made for people who make things happen, like me. I'm Sam, founder and CEO of Manifest, a product design company that makes everyday products designed smarter. I get 2.5% cash back on purchases of $5,000 or more, plus unlimited 2% cash back on all other purchases, which helps us make more smart ideas into a brilliant reality.
The Ink Business Premier Card. Learn more at chase.com/business premier. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours. Real business owner compensated for their participation. Account subject to credit approval. Restrictions and limitations apply. Cards are issued by JP Morgan Chase Bank. Any member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Anyone can choose to make a difference. You can help people succeed, rebuild after disasters, protect the environment, or feed the hungry. Not only will you make a difference for others, but for yourself. You can earn money for college, learn career skills, and make friendships that last a lifetime. Make a difference. Choose your future. Choose America.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So, of course, I mentioned Lionel Richie. We had a ball reflecting on All Night Long. That was a bop. That was the time. I don't know if you guys remember, but Lionel Richie was so big at that time. They had him hosting the American Music Awards. And he kept saying during the series, and I have no idea why this is coming up. I'm random like this sometimes, but I'm just going to share. The whole night, he kept saying, outrageous. And it was funny to me some reason as a little kid. And obviously it was impactful because it stuck. And here I am talking about it almost 40 years later. Yeah, whatever. But anyway, so Lionel was performing at a concert recently. And, you know, he and Diana Ross had a duet together that was a huge, huge hit in the early 80s. I believe it was like 82 that the song was released, and it was called Endless Love. And it was from a Brooke Shields movie where she was like 15 in the movie, and her neighbor or something became obsessed with her and like tried to set their house on fire, and he went crazy. It's a ridiculous movie, but the song was amazing, and it was top of the charts for forever. Well, Lionel was at a recent concert, And he shared with the audience that he doesn't know why they think that Diana is ever going to walk out on the stage with him, because she hasn't.
37 years, Diana said no. What made you think tonight she was going to show up? She ain't coming. She's over there singing happy birthday to Beyonce. Pissed me off.
Well, shout out to Lionel for having a good sense of humor about it and making light of it. But I do wonder why Diana is like, no, absolutely not. No way. Because I do recall them performing it a couple of times back in the day. And I mean, it certainly was a hit. It's just interesting. Diana was like, move around. I'm going to show up for the heir apparent. But Lionel, you could chill over there. Maybe Brenda was her homegirl and she's still bitter. Not bitter. That's not the right word. Correct in her thought process. At any rate, again, if you have comments on any of the stories that we're talking about, 800-920-1580. Of course, the YouTube chat is booming as always. Hit us up in there. If you have a comment there, there's a little community there. They communicate, they chat, they get into things on their own. And download the app, social media. You have all the points to hit. Yeah. So this story is still formulating, but I thought I should share it, right? So with everything being controlled by computers now, right? Hacks are on another level. And the reaction to them is also on another level, because really, you think about it, from your car to your house to your phone, there is software that someone else, in theory, could get in and get control of. Well, reportedly, that's what happened to the MGM Resorts in Vegas. About 48,000 rooms they have on the Las Vegas Strip. Their properties include Mandalay Bay, the Bellagio, the MGM Grand, and something happened this evening. They got hit with a cyber attack. So thousands of guests at the various hotels were locked out of their hotel rooms. Basically, it hit all of their properties. It was first detected on Sunday night. It affected emails, reservations, room keys, slot machines. Now, that's money. I don't know how much a Las Vegas casino makes per hour, but I would guess it's somewhere in the millions. And a couple of slot machines out from a cyber thing, it had to be a lot of money hitting the building. But whenever stuff like that happens, I guess I've watched too many movies like Ocean's 11 and things like that. I'm always like, okay, so what's really about to happen? Because at this point, I know that as fast as the hackers can get in, the agencies can't really keep up. But it just seems like it should be a little more something that they can do. As I said, they first noticed Sunday night. MGM Resorts also let the police know so that all of that could be researched and taken into its proper context. They started investigating the situation, notified law enforcement, as I said, took prompt action to protect their systems, including shutting down certain systems. A concierge at the Bellagio he told NBC that the whole system internally and externally was down, and they didn't know when it would be restored. All the computer operations were being done manually, and can you imagine? That also includes ATM machines, credit card machines. So if you want to go eat and you didn't have cash, you were screwed. You were in a lot of trouble. So we'll continue to monitor the situation. I'm just wondering, as we become more and more reliant on computer software, computer programs, what happens if one day, again, I watch too many movies, you get in your car and your car doesn't want to let the locks unlock for you? Or You know how they have your car, it'll brake for you now or slow down. What if your car brakes, but it doesn't need to brake? And you see another car barreling down the highway at you in the rearview mirror, and you can't do anything. You can't even unlock your doors. I don't know. Again, I probably watch too much television, but I think about that kind of stuff. And because cyber attacks, hacks, breaches, leaks are becoming more of the norm, right? We have to think about ways that we can protect ourselves. Because really, life off the grid doesn't really exist anymore. I mean, unless you're just some total commando, you can try it, but how are you going to get your money? How are you going to stash your money out of the bank, right? You're going to take it all out of the bank? What's going to happen then? You're going to take it all at one time and hope you make it? Cash is heavy to carry. I'm just saying, depending upon the amounts that you have, right? Then there are cameras everywhere. There's facial recognition software. I mean, I am not a criminal, but I do think about the ways that I would be able to get away if I needed to, if something was happening. And really, right now, as it stands, I don't know.
Hey, it's COVID. I'm going to just put on my mask. Simple.
That's it? Oh, okay. You're going to walk around with your mask and it does it. I feel like, though, because so many people do clear and things like that, that they have ways to identify you with the eyes and stuff. I don't know. Again, I could be exaggerating. These are just things that I think about. And when 48,000 hotel rooms are impacted in Las Vegas from a computer bug, you just got to think. Andy, what were you going to say? Like, you look like you got frustrated.
You said something, and then it triggered me because me and my friends, we would joke all the time. You know, we play PS5 and stuff like that, and we joke, basically saying that, you know, the PS5 is listening to us. The PS5 is low-key taking pictures of us. Hell, even your iPhone, even when you're not necessarily taking pictures, when you're just kind of scrolling, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have people who will literally, like, cover the camera aspect of their iPhone because they think that the iPhone is still taking pictures of you, even though you're not necessarily, like, you know, trying to take pics.
I mean, it is things, but what I can tell you is I read an article that it supposedly explains why you could be talking about something and then ads for it show up in your Instagram. So when we come forward, I'll share that. We're also going to get into Coco Gauff's win at the U.S. Open this weekend. We're going to talk about all the celebs that were there to check her out. We're going to talk about Deion Sanders' Colorado home game. His son, Shador, he had some commentary. All of that and more. You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Party, climbing, fiesta, forever. Come on and sing my song all night long. Oh, all night long.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Esther Dillard, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Sounds of bells tolling in New York as the nation marks the 22nd anniversary of the 9/11 terror attacks. Solemn tributes were held in New York